I'm very happy to be here this evening. I think this is a real cause for celebration. This declaration, the Downpatrick Declaration, is very beautiful, but it's very important.
The Downpatrick Declaration. The history of Ireland is a reminder of the complexity of community and identity, and of the devastation of violence. Our peace process marks a break with centuries of conflict on this island. The Belfast Good Friday Agreement establishes vital principles for recognising one another and for peacefully acknowledging and resolving differences. Leaders in Britain and in both parts of this island have endorsed exclusively peaceful means of resolving differences on political issues and rejected any use or threat of force. These principles are a guide for building sustainable communities and for our conduct in the wider world. We should at least not aggravate, and at best, help modestly towards resolving the challenges and conflicts of our troubled planet Earth.
People might be wondering where the Downpatrick Declaration comes from, and it's been developed very recently by a group of people, many of them with backgrounds in the peace movement, who were utterly shocked by the granting of funds to a firm in Belfast by the UK government to produce military drones. Military drones being produced in Belfast, the city that became synonymous with the Troubles and that then gave its name to the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. The agreement to move away from violence, develop understanding, and build a more peaceful and sustainable society. And people began to ask themselves, is this the peace dividend we've been promised?
We have had for a long time missiles made in Belfast by tallies, and they're sold right around the world to 50 or 60 different countries, including lots of dodgy regimes. Now tallies are developing laser and energy field weapons for the British Ministry of Defence, and Spirit Air Systems are developing drones for the RAF.
While we were developing the declaration, we had, in the other part of the island, in Dublin recently, a publicly advertised webinar run by our government, a Zoom seminar if you like, promoting arms production as a way of developing the Irish economy. Again, in conflict with the basic principles of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement and of course with Article 29 of our Constitution. Maybe I'll read what the governments have said about the Belfast Good Friday Agreement, where they make the following solemn declaration. We affirm our total and absolute commitment to exclusively democratic and peaceful means of resolving differences on political issues, and our opposition to any use or threat of force by others for any political purpose, whether in regard to this agreement or otherwise. And it's very hard to square military drones in Belfast, arms production webinars in Dublin with those values. And of course it's very hard to square it with our participation with and through NATO in the dreadful war on terror, where we've seen most recently the appalling consequences in Afghanistan. This is not what people have signed up for.
Tragically, both the UK and Irish governments have betrayed the agreement in their so-called defence policies. Their involvement in NATO and NATO's so-called Partnership for Peace has been a moral and practical disaster. NATO's war on terror has brought catastrophic onslaughts and human rights abuses, perpetuating a bitter cycle of aggression and retaliation. It invokes threats but fails to address their nature and sources, or to create a context where the tragic cycle could be broken. This betrays the Republic's constitutional commitment to pacific settlement of international disputes and the generally recognised principles of international law. It is equally at odds with the pronouncement of Northern Ireland Secretary Mo Mowlam in 1999 that all violence, no matter for what purpose, is unacceptable. Both governments display the mindset of what US President Eisenhower 60 years ago called the military-industrial complex.
The Downpatrick Declaration challenges the military-industrial complex, which suggests that producing more weapons and arming ourselves to death can be a sound basis for prosperity on this island and for supporting peace and development around the world. Ireland, rather than becoming a Johnny-come-lately in the war industry, should draw on its unique history of colonialism and oppression to work for genuine peace, true human security and real disarmament. We should stand in solidarity with the poor, the dispossessed and those who've been driven from their homes by war, weapons and climate change.
And how many years can a mountain exist before it be swept to the sea?
The millions of refugees and displaced people, indeed our planet itself, are crying out not for more weapons or warmongering, but for peace and an end to conflict and violence.
If we go to the roots of what we are as a people, and it's important to go to the roots of what you are as a person. And if we remember that our roots are ones of peace, reconciliation, caring for the poor. Unfortunately, when people get a sense of power and they're not stopped by their citizens loudly declaring, we will not go to war against our brothers and sisters, things can spiral out of control. So by allowing the Irish government and being part and complicit in the wars carried out against people in all these countries, we have to say we're very sorry. We have to take responsibility. I think this declaration is worth reading. It's worth studying. It sets out a vision supporting what was said in the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. We can be friends in Ireland and friends with the world, but we can do it in a peaceful way.
The Downpatrick Declaration is a timely reminder that we need to support peace and peaceful initiatives rather than get involved in arms production or the arms trade or any form of militarisation.
Weapons not only kill and maim, they also wreck homes and habitats and damage our ecology. They distort and distract from the real challenges of security. They deflect resources of mind and matter from worthwhile production. They undermine the good work of governments, NGOs and others for disarmament, peace and development, instead producing a tragic tide of suffering and displacement.
The Downpatrick Declaration is so called because we see Downpatrick as a place which is regarded as part of our history associated with three iconic figures, Bridget, Patrick and Columcille, all of whom were aware of the dangers of violence, all of whom dedicated themselves to peace.
In the Republic, there is a concentrated effort by the government to get firms and Irish industrialists involved in the European arms production industry. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Simon Coveney, and Minister for Defence as well, says this has nothing to do with Irish neutrality, but of course it is. And the end result of that will be you have a European army fighting resource wars of the latter part of the 21st century, and that is a terrible prospect. The Downpatrick Declaration is a positive riposte to all these developments and saying we can do without this, we can go a different path, the path of peace, the path of justice.
We need to again stand by what we said in the Good Friday Declaration, rejecting militarism and war and solving our problems without killing each other. We in Ireland have a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous opportunity to turn things around, because we're on the road of militarism and war and destruction. And that road is a road to nowhere, to suffering. We can't turn it around because people are essentially good.
In your daughters and your sons, in your daughters and your sons, it's there you sow the seeds of peace, your daughters and your sons.
our world is sliding towards a horrific era of enmity and revenge, as dangerous and destructive as the Cold War. Our governments must bring their policies at home and abroad into line with the declaration of support. We need to produce ploughshares in a spirit of recognition and rebuilding, rather than swords with a mindset of militarism and mistrust.
Any war before you have exhausted all possible peaceful means is immoral.
It is possible to find peace, to build peace. Peace is possible. Thank you to all those who wrote the declaration and those who have worked to have this event. Thanks, and we are very pleased to support it and to launch it from here in the heart of Downpatrick. Thank you.